On this week's episode of Whether or Not, we take a look at the below normal temperatures plaguing portions of the Northeast this week. We also take a look at some stories regarding Hurricane Michael and the latest update on the fall foliage across Pennsylvania. Later in the show, our very own Bree has a story on the pumpkin crop of this fall and how the weather played a role in it. Whether or Not starts right now. Welcome to Whether or Not. I'm your host, Matt Hoenig.
And I'm your forecaster, Jacob Morse.
Jacob, it's been pretty chilly as of late here in Pennsylvania. I know I had to break out the winter coat at one point this week. Any chance that we see some sort of warm-up?
It has been a big change. We've been experiencing above average temperatures over the past several weeks, and now we're below average, and that's going to stick with us through this weekend, and we'll get a reinforcing cold shot, and it looks like we'll be like that for the rest of October. Possibly. Sounds
good, Jacob. We'll have more on that in just a few moments with the short-term forecast. But first, nature in the news. The foliage report is back this week, and things are starting to get more colorful across the Northeast. Here in Pennsylvania, the best color is located in the Poconos. Moderate color is beginning to develop across the Laurel Highlands and up to the Allegheny Plateau, but the colors have yet to change much in the major cities. Elsewhere, colors are starting to peak in much of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, but you'll have to wait a whole year to see peak colors in far northern Maine as they are now past peak.
Last Wednesday, October 10th, Hurricane Michael made landfall between Mexico City and Panama City, Florida, as a very strong Category 4 hurricane with winds of 155 miles per hour, causing widespread destruction and devastation. The storm will go down in the record books as the third most intense hurricane, based on central pressure, to ever make landfall in the continental United States, just ahead of Hurricane Katrina. Michael intensified all the way up until landfall, falling to an incredible pressure of 919 millibars with a very well-defined eye at landfall. Some people were even able to capture what it looked like inside the eye of Michael as it came ashore. Surprisingly, the eye remained intact as it passed through the Florida Panhandle before finally breaking apart in Georgia. Mexico City Beach was hit the hardest, as many homes are now completely demolished, but the more populated region of Panama City also received a substantial amount of damage to homes and businesses. Michael remained a tropical storm as it tracked through Georgia and the Carolinas, causing power outages and flooding to those areas as well as Virginia. As recovery efforts begin, there are many ways you can help, including donating to the Red Cross by visiting their website at redcross.org.
Well, the end of the growing season has commenced across parts of Pennsylvania this week. It seems like just a week or two ago we were talking about temperatures in the 80s and summer-like conditions, but the average first frosts and freezes of the season are on the way for much of the area. In fact, in some places, especially in the north part of the state, they've already happened. The National Weather Service issued numerous frost and freeze alerts this week as temperatures plummeted toward the freezing mark, but many forms of vegetation can actually survive the occasional frost and freeze. In fact, it's perfectly fine to leave non-sensitive plants outside overnight, and many landscapers say they plant shrubbery all the way into mid-November as long as the weather doesn't become too extreme.
Heavy and persistent rains over southern Texas earlier this week caused widespread flooding and problems for residents around the San Antonio and Austin areas. Some areas recorded more than 13 inches of rain in just 48 hours earlier this week, causing river levels to jump dramatically. For instance, the Llano River in Llano, Texas, which is about 70 miles northwest of Austin, rose by 35 feet in just 24 hours, causing it to reach near record levels. On Tuesday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott declared a state of emergency for the 18 counties affected by the heavy rain. Residents within a quarter mile of the Llano River in the city of Llano were also urged to evacuate. 8 rescues because of high water had to be completed on Monday night, and a bridge over the Llano River in Kingsland collapsed on Tuesday. As of Wednesday evening, 2 confirmed deaths were due to the flooding, and several flood warnings were still in effect. After a summer of widespread flooding here in Pennsylvania, it was Texas's turn this week to be in the headlines because of flooding. Hello everyone, I'm student meteorologist Jacob Morse here with your Central Pennsylvania forecast. Friday and Saturday this weekend look to be around our average for this time of year in terms of temperatures, but then a reinforcing shot of cold air comes our way for the day on Sunday, making it feel a lot colder around our area. Let's go to the maps for the day on Friday. High pressure will be stationed off to the coast of the Carolinas, and that clockwise flow around that high will be bringing in some warmer air from the south, but it won't be exceptionally warm here, just around our average for this time of year on Friday here in Pennsylvania, with plenty of sunshine throughout the day. And you can also notice the cold front out in the Midwest there with a few showers ahead of that cold front. That will push through our area Friday night and throughout the day on Saturday, bringing with it a few isolated showers here in Pennsylvania for the early morning hours and throughout the morning on Saturday. It won't be a washout by any means, just a few of those isolated showers in our area. And as that cold front moves across the state, by the afternoon on Saturday, we can see some clearing skies. Then on Sunday, high pressure will build out to our west, and with that clockwise flow around the high, some of the cooler air from Canada will be filtering in. We'll have a northwesterly flow that will only allow our temperatures to reach the middle to upper 40s for the day on Sunday, a lot cooler for the day on Sunday here in Pennsylvania. Let's recap your forecast for the day on Friday. Abundant sunshine here in Pennsylvania, a beautiful day to go outside and enjoy some of the fall foliage. 59 degrees for your high on Friday. Friday night, showers begin to move in, dropping down to a low of 46 degrees. Then those showers continue into the early morning hours on Saturday. By the midday on Saturday and by the afternoon, those showers will taper off. We'll be left with a mixture of cloud and sunshine with a high of 53 degrees on Saturday. And then Sunday, feeling a lot cooler here in Pennsylvania, only reaching a high of 45 degrees. Our average high temperature is around 61 degrees for this time of year, and a mixture of cloud and sun for the day on Sunday. Coming up next, Bree has a feature on how the 2018 pumpkin crop was affected by the weather.
The recent extreme and abnormal weather events have some people spooked about what is to come for this Halloween. Just last week, most of the region was experiencing almost 80-degree temperatures, if not actually hitting that, and now we are feeling more winter-like temperatures, and the National Weather Service has even put out a frost advisory for the region. With fall festivities underway and Halloween approaching, what is to say for the long-lived tradition of pumpkins for the season? About 80% of pumpkin supply here in the United States becomes available in October. However, pumpkin growth and harvest start long before then, typically in May for the northern states. As with many crops, the weather plays a significant role in the quality and production of pumpkins, and since the weather changes throughout the year, farmers need to be well aware and up to date with current weather patterns to get the best results out of their harvest. While crops do need rain, the very wet year that we have had that has caused many troubles in the area also has a negative effect on crops. Too much rain can cause mildew to prosper and thus crops to rot or delay farmers from planting. Also, the warm temperatures and high humidity that we have been experiencing can also cause pumpkins to develop diseases that can significantly affect the growth and prosperity of the pumpkins. Chilly weather also doesn't do well with helping out the fall treat. For example, cooler weather in the spring can prevent pumpkins from blossoming. This is in large part due to bees who transport pollen between plants. Bees don't fly at too cold of temperatures, and when they aren't out, the pollen diminishes, which in turn lowers pumpkin production. Now, along with the frost warnings that we have, people are even more worried as frost can cause a considerable amount of damage to the crop. I was able to talk with Chris to find out how the pumpkins are doing this year.
Well, every year has its challenges. Most of them are weather related. And this year, I think we set the record for rainfall in August and probably September too. So the challenge this year was, it was basically rained every other day. So a lot of the diseases that affect pumpkins rely on moisture, high humidity, and the way the summer went, as wet as it was, as cloudy as it was, we've definitely seen a reduction in the overall, size of the pumpkins. We've had our share of disease issues.
I was able to talk with Chris more about how important it is for farmers to keep up with weather trends and his own past experiences.
I mean, every year is a challenge. Whether it's too much rain, not enough rain. We had a drought season probably 4 or 5 years ago, where we didn't get any pumpkins bigger than probably 5 to 8 pounds. Now last year was a wet year, but we had a really nice crop. The biggest pumpkins were probably 60 to 80 pounds. So this year, with the lack of sunshine, the plants are photosynthesizing. Things didn't get pollinated nearly as well as they normally do because of just the cloudy, wet weather. And there's definitely been a size, decrease, with just the general size of the pumpkins.
As temperatures continue to drop and more winter-like precipitation starts to gain way, it is very important to keep an eye on the weather to determine how much to harvest and salvage. After all, what is Halloween without pumpkin carving or a nice pumpkin spice latte to warm you up? Also, as Thanksgiving is approaching, many people are gearing up for those delicious pumpkin pies. For Weather or Not, I'm Bree.
I'm student meteorologist Jacob Morse here with your extended forecast. Sunday will be a lot cooler here in central Pennsylvania, and that will carry over into next week. But first, let's recap your weekend forecast. A beautiful day on Friday, reaching a high of 59 degrees with plenty of sunshine. Saturday, we'll see some showers in the morning hours, but then clearing out for the afternoon, reaching a high of 53 degrees. And then much cooler for the day on Sunday, as I mentioned, only reaching a high of 45 degrees, and that overnight low on Sunday night into Monday morning, approaching that freezing mark. Your extended forecast into next week, those temperatures remain below average. You can see the average mark right around that 61 degrees, and then our high temperatures in the low 50s throughout the entire week. The good news is that we'll be remaining dry with plenty of sunshine, especially on Wednesday and Thursday.
Well, Jacob, the extended outlook looks pretty dry here across Pennsylvania, but I should have the rain gear handy come Saturday.
Especially if you're going to be out and about on Saturday morning. Those showers look to be coming through our area with that cold front on Saturday morning, but then clearing out for the afternoon, it looks like. So setting up for that dry week next week.
Sounds good, Jacob. We'll keep that in mind. Well, earlier in the show, we asked you our weather whiz quiz question. Before Hurricane Michael, when did the last major hurricane strike the Florida Panhandle? Was it A, 1995, B, 2005, C, 2009, or D, 2015? And if you guessed B, 2005, you are tonight's lucky winner. Hurricane Michael was the first major hurricane which is defined as a Category 3 or above to strike the Florida Panhandle since Hurricane Dennis in 2005. Hurricane Dennis approached the far western portion of the Florida Panhandle on July 9th, 2005 as a Category 4 storm before weakening slightly to a Category 3 storm and making landfall on July 10th with 130-mile-per-hour winds.
Since recordings date back to, no Category 4 hurricane or stronger has ever made landfall within 250 miles of where Hurricane Michael hit Panama City. Definitely a rare hurricane that damaged and devastated that entire area, so we hope that those people can recover in a timely fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. The pictures and video that we've seen out of places like Mexico Beach and the Panama City area have just been so tragic, and of course our thoughts and prayers with all of those who are affected by Michael. Well, that's going to do it for our show this evening. I am your host, Matt Hoenig.
And I'm your forecaster, Jacob Morse.
Have a great night, everyone.